G'day and welcome. This podcast is nothing more than as it says. Three blokes sharing their love of whiskey, having a laugh, and most importantly, having a crack. So grab your glass, your favourite whiskey, and kick back and enjoy our podcast. Please remember to not drink and drive, over 18s only, and as always, know your limits and drink responsibly. Remember, alcohol should be enjoyed and appreciated, never abused. Now, time to kick off the pod.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Welcome back to another edition of Having a Crack with Big Mac, Jono and Rosco. And boys, it has been some time since we have been around my bar, of course. And how's things been, John?
Things are good, Excited to be back, We went out the other week down to Chief Sons. That was good.
We did.
But now we're back in here and I'm excited to try a few whiskies. I've been waiting to crack open.
Yes, for good reason. I think you or your partner had a trip. Is that right?
Yep. She went over to Japan. She brought back 4 whiskies. I'm like, all right, I'm going to keep them closed until the podcast.
Which is a hard thing to do when you got a neighbour next door that likes jumping into people's houses and nicking some drinks every now and again.
Yeah. Well, of those 4, 3 are still unopened, but we're about to crack 2 of those open tonight.
Oh, delicious. Looking forward to that. And Rosco, how's your week been, mate?
Yeah, good, man. It's good to be back in the old home ground here, back at the old Mac bar. And, looking forward to another big night. And, plenty of good drinks tonight, no doubt about it. Johnny's got a couple of specialties that are, very, very rare stuff. So looking forward to those 2 for sure. I've brought along a little Japanese whiskey myself, and I see you've got one at the end of the bar there too, Mako. Mm-hmm. Is that going to be the first one of the night, is it?
It is indeed. We've got a bit of a Japanese theme just because Jono, really wanted to crack open these Japanese bottles, and we thought, bugger it, let's just make the whole night a bit of a Japanese fiesta and, try some different ones from all around, really. Some sort of entry-level ones, some sort of top-of-the-rank ones, and then who knows what the next one is that Johnny's got, so... We'll get into that very, very shortly. But before we do, now, a certain someone on this panel has received I guess you'd call it an email in, but it was an audio clip from a specific listener that has email or has written in before. And it's to do with the special person on this panel's birthday that is going to be happening in 2 days' time. And that would be Big Ross. Big Rosco.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder, Mako. That's just let me know that I'm 1 year closer to death. So cheers, mate.
So just without any further ado, this is basically a listener that sees Rosco as such a bit of an idol, I guess you'd call it, of some sort. So here's his little bit of an audio clip here.
Yeah, g'day, Congo. Heard you were 10 to 50, mate. What a great achievement. I remember when my old man turned 50, we threw a shindig for him in the old quasar. Kev turned over a pig bigger than a Red Rover dustbin, was a pisser. Anyway, Cobber, make sure the only bottling you do tonight is your efforts of reading out your notes on your whiskey, Cobber. Righto, I'm off like a dead leopard's head. Catch a big chin.
Bloody hell, what a special little...
That was Shan from Wagga.
Yeah, so good on him, man. He's a top bloke and... Yeah, he's obviously been bloody rustling up a few pigs himself, I'm sure. So.
No, it was nice of him. Roscoe's 50th. It's a big deal. So, we give him a bit of an applause there. But enough of that. We are going to kick off this evening now with the first whiskey, which is coming from myself. So here it is. Thought I'd give us a bit of a Japanese intro in there as well, boys. Bit of Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift.
Oh yeah, another classic Macca fucking film, that one.
Never seen them?
Well, you gave that bloody 9 stars, didn't you, out of 10?
9?
Yeah.
10.
10. Right, sorry.
So we're just opening this bottle now. So I've just noticed no cork.
Yeah, screw top there.
Screw top.
A lot of the Japanese bottles seem to be screw tops. A lot of them do come like that, Johnny, would you say?
Oh, probably some of them, about 40, 50% maybe.
And then I wonder that, is there a reason that they do that in particular? Like, would it be something to do with the process or the fact that they just want to, just use something that's a cheaper alternative? Or
Probably an easier alternative.
Yep.
I don't think the cork actually adds too much to the taste or anything. So they're probably like, bugger it.
Remember last week we went down at Chief Sons with the guys down there. They mentioned they get their corks from Spain. I think they said they come.
Yeah.
Perhaps there might be a bit of a sort of situation getting them into the country in Japan if they're sort of get them out of Europe or something like that. So
That's a fair point.
yeah, maybe the cork. Maybe it's a bit more difficult to do it for some distilleries to get them in and whatnot.
Well, most of the wineries around here have given up on cork just because, like I said, it doesn't actually add much to the flavour. They're like, well, why the hell are we, wasting our time and money on it?
On corks in particular, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a fair point. So the
Just before we start, Macca, got the 38% on Tokyo Drift from Rotten Tomatoes, just in case you weren't sure. So if you'll give it a 9 out of 10, mate, you need a bloody you need to get out of here, I reckon.
fucking hell. So the whiskey this evening, the Tenjaku whiskey. So I picked this up from a Bottle Mart store.
Someone local
Around
the community.
Yep, it was about $65, I think it was, and at the moment at Dan's, it's about $77, I think it was, $77.99 at Dan's. So, this is basically tailored to be a very entry level into Japanese whiskey as well. So, to give you a bit of a background on this one, boys, just before we do some nosings. So Tenjaku is a tasty blended Japanese whiskey. Tenjaku is made with corn and barley and aged in American white oak barrels. The Japanese characters you can spot on the label translate to hibari, more commonly known as the skylark, which I wasn't familiar with what a skylark is. It's a bird. So a Eurasian skylark as well. So, popular in New Zealand, Australia, and the Hawaiian Islands. So that's where the Japanese text on the bottle comes from. So the guys at Masters of Malt have highlighted that this product can be drank as well within a highball, and preferred by some people to have that in a highball as well, as opposed to neat. Now, that might be also because it could have a little bit more of a sharp bit on the nose or on the taste as well, but we'll give this a go now and have a bit of a sniff and see what we pick up.
It's obviously quite light as well. So it doesn't look like it has maybe a lot of influence from the barrel, perhaps, like changing that colour, being that it is lighter.
And it's only in bourbon barrels. There's no mixture of different barrels in this at all.
Just American oak.
Just white American oak, that's it. Yep. So ex-bourbon barrel. So 3 to 5 years age for this one too.
I don't know, I'm getting a bit of a very faint woody smell of it. Don't know about you guys.
Kind of got a familiar sort of grainy sort of smell, like a malty, like a barley, like
cereal.
A light, yeah. That's where I reckon most of it's coming from.
But apart from that, very sort of, blended smell. Nothing's jumping out too much.
No.
Maybe a honey, maybe a light honey there.
Just a little bit of sweetness. Nothing massive though. It's not really sort of pulling anything out as such. Straight to us, but let's have a little sip.
No, they do like doing a very balanced whiskey in Japan.
That's real smooth, but then you still get a fair bit of bite afterwards as well.
It's almost like got like a mint. Is there a mint in that? A light mint.
Hard for me. I just had mouthwash before you guys came over.
I reckon it's fruity, and there is that little. It's quite smooth, actually. That surprised me. I didn't think we'd be having a nice sort of drink.
That's real smooth.
Yeah, being that it's sort of not real dark in colour, I thought it wouldn't have heaps of flavour to it, but it's quite fruity. I reckon there's lots of fruit in that.
And that's not oily at all, really. I know you can see little bits on the glass, but that's to be quite honest, that's actually quite a light whiskey for texture as well.
Yeah, very, very light fruit and a bit of almost a light floral coming in.
Touch of peat, sort of touch.
But really smooth.
Yeah, bit of warmth.
Well, let's give a little bit more background on this product. So Tenjaku blended whiskey is created in the city of, this one's going to be interesting, of Fuifuki, I'm guessing. Could be wrong on that one. Located on the eastern part of the Kofu Basin in Yamanashi Prefecture, which is left and inland of Tokyo, but smack bang in the middle of Japan. This fertile land, encircled by soaring peaks, with the Chichibu Mountains rising to the north and the Masaka Range to the south, is renowned as Japan's top peach and grape producing region, looking towards Mount Fuji and the Southern Alps. It is blessed with boundless nature, with verdant forests, beautiful orchards, hot springs, and crystal clear streams. So those descriptive words are pretty picturesque type of surroundings.
Certainly known to have like a pristine water source in a lot of these whiskies and distilleries that come out of the Japanese, regions. It's interesting to know how far away you can see Mount Fuji from, because I know that in my little notes that I've got for my whiskey I brought along, it mentions, in the foothills of Mount Fuji as well. So
yeah, I imagine this one that we're having now is actually probably around the foothills of Mount Fuji, because you're talking about sort of central Japan. So that's pretty close to.
Yeah, it's literally when I looked at it on the map. So, yeah, you had Tokyo and Yokohama was just below it, I think it was, and then inland and left. Yeah, that's pretty much where it's at. But I didn't look where Mount Fuji was, but I'll take your word for it.
Right near it.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. But, yeah, so they talk about this being pretty reasonably priced and is a welcome sight, especially one that's completely distilled and aged in Japan. It's a young and fairly light whiskey with a distinct cereal note coming through on the finish. Up front, it's a bit more fruitier, with suggestions of pear, banana, and creme brulee, plus a bit of elderflower. So there's the floral aspect that you're getting obviously in there too. But a pleasantly sweet contribution from the bourbon barrels makes this an easily enjoyable blend.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Well, and going back to what you said about putting in a highball, I have previously had this, and yes, it did go towards making a lot of highballs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very nice. We're just going to pour some of this now into our glasses with ice.
it surprised me, this whiskey, actually. It looks to be well represented, value for money, and not a bad drink at all by any means. So, and this is readily available in most.
Well, Dan's had it as a big sort of store to go to. Dan's definitely had it. There'd be scattered independents that probably have this as well, but yeah, it's definitely worth having a bit of a look out there as well. Again, as we said, it's an intro, so
it does have an age statement on it as well, does it?
No.
Did you say it was a 3 to 5 years?
3 to 5 years, because that's
estimated
standard of what what they have to go with.
Yeah, but they'll blend that, so they'll have one or two barrels. They'll have a barrel from 3 and a barrel from 5, and
Correct.
Combine them.
So we'll see how this goes now with a bit of ice. Let's see what flavours we end up losing.
Actually, the spice comes out a bit more for me.
Yeah, no floral though.
No, that goes, but
Less sweet.
well, I get a bit more sweet, but I'm definitely picking up on the spice more now.
Yep. What sort of spices do you think are coming through?
We all know you're a fan of a few different spices, aren't you, Marco? Your maximum spice level is what? Peppermint.
Yeah, peppermint, spearmint. That's about the most I could do.
Yeah, no, there's still quite a bit of fruit to it. Pears, yeah, maybe. Banana's probably a bit of a long shot, but it's definitely like a little fruity mixed cocktail sort of, in there with not your standard sort of ones that you get a lot of the time whiskey. So yeah, it's something different. This.
Did they say how they're sort of storing it, or because some of the whiskey distilleries in Japan have different, sort of storage method?
Yeah, they didn't in the notes that I got, so that's pretty much all there was. But I couldn't find too much more in terms of the barreling options that they offer in there as well, and where they sit them.
And what did you say they grew there?
Peaches.
Oh, peaches. Okay.
Peaches.
The old millions of peaches.
So what we're going to do now, we're going to quickly just slip this into a highball and just give it a burl, and see what it tastes like.
Could even be like a sweet sort of lychee almost in that as well. Like that. I mean, I don't say that on the thing on the label and whatnot, but yeah, it is quite a sweet drink.
Yeah, yep, definitely agree on that. That's
You ever had a lychee macca?
I have.
Have you?
Yep, in Malaysia.
Ever had a kiwi fruit?
No.
That's a bit strange. You've had a lychee but not a kiwi fruit.
Well, the lychee was forced upon me while I was in Malaysia. Didn't want to be rude. It's a custom.
So if you go somewhere that the customs eating a
Supreme pizza.
yeah,
Or the leader's shit. Do I eat it? Yeah. Guess I'm going to have to, aren't I?
Stay away from Thailand, macca.
I think this is going to go down quite nice. That's about right.
So what are you going to pop a little bit of lemon something in there, or
Bit of yuzu lime, mate.
yuzu lime.
The fever tree, the one that we cracked out last time. We did a highball with a Japanese whiskey.
Yep.
What was the last Japanese whiskey we did the highball of with? Fuji Senroku?
I think it was a Fuji Sanroku. Or was it the Kuriyoshi? Which one was first?
Nah, Fuji. I think it was Fuji that we did that highball with. I'm pretty sure. How good does that sound?
Treating the listeners to sounds of preparing a drink.
this is bartender 101 over here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this already has just delightful written all over it.
So we're pretty much on parallels here with spilt drinks, same as last session we done down at the old Somerville Brewery.
Summer Brewery, yep.
Saw a few spilt drinks there.
Feels a few spilt kegs.
Yeah.
All right, so we've made the yuzu and lime fever tree / tenjaku highball in one of our glasses here. We're going to give this a go and see what comes of it, boys. At least then we got 2 to rate. 1 to rate neat, and then 1 to rate with a highball.
Macca trying to double down on points here, I think. Tonight.
He's got me. That's good.
I mean, it's pretty good, but I think you're getting a lot of that from the fever tree. It's a very strong lime, sort of overpowering the whiskey, I reckon.
Smidgen, yeah.
So the yuzu is a fruit. Johnny, do you know? Is there a bit of similar sort of like a citrus fruit or something from Japan, a yuzu?
Probably.
Is it a yuzu lime?
I'm not sure, mate.
I'm guessing. No, it's something else. Lime and yuzu, yeah. So it must be something else. I thought you were the horticulturist or fruit expert.
The winning thing that you've brought up here tonight, Macca, is only 32 calories per bottle here with this lime and yuzu. So happy to have this drink.
I'm just watching your figure these days since you turned 50.
I can't have me cake and eat it, mate.
Not anymore. Diabetes.
It's yeah, I don't know. I'm not real sold on these highballs that you keep mixing up with the bar here, Macca.
Hold on a second. Says the person that how many highballs did you buy from and acquire of Johnny Walker from fucking Aldi?
That's a good highball.
Oh.
So what was the question about the yuzu?
It's a yuzu. Is it a fruit, a Japanese fruit, or
It is a Japanese fruit.
something similar to a lime, like out of the citrus?
Yeah, very similar to a lime. So
What does it look like?
looks like it looks more like a lemon.
Does look like a lemon. Maybe it is just a lemon.
A variety of lemon.
How many varieties?
Yeah. Could be thousands, man.
No, it's believed
Sicilian lemon.
believed to be to have originated in central China as an F1 hybrid of the Mengshan Yuju subspecies of Mandarin orange and Ichang papeda.
Papaya? Papaya? It's not too bad. I don't mind it. It's refreshing. Like you have lost Johnny did touch on that. You have lost a fair chunk of that whiskey taste out of there. Maybe I might not have put enough in. I don't know, but as you said, the lime might be really overpowering that.
I would happily have a glass of that with the ice straight up either way, but I reckon not so good with this.
You lose it. You lose the whiskey.
Yeah, it could be any whiskey in there pretty much by this point.
Yeah, but mind you, that Fuji Sanroku, we still tasted that.
Yeah, I guess that one was all right.
Yeah, we definitely still tasted that in our glasses. But no, that's all right. We always got to try these things anyway. We try them so you guys don't have to there, the listeners of the pod. So we covered most of the background on this product as well. We did the tastes. I think we covered mostly what the finishes were. I think the Masters of Malt guys just touch on a creamy oak finish with spice and floral elderflower. The palate was tin pears on the palate with banana bread and thick custard. And on the nose was a faint suggestion of smoke with pear, blossom, and plump sultana. So very
Hard
rare.
one to pick there, that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, your fruity notes that you guys collected on those were pretty accurate, I think, for that.
Fruit, tiny bit of floral on the palate. I was picking the wood up on the nose, but you're talking about on the finish. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And the cereal note as well, like that malty real smell you sort of got at the start.
Considering it's a blended drink as well, it's actually quite a good drink. Can't be, as you mentioned, Johnny, that there's once they master blend it and they put so much into it, you're sort of hard to decipher those, in particular, one or two sort of taste there and nosing there and that sort of thing. But yeah, I reckon it was good. I reckon it was pretty good with the straight up in the glass.
Yeah. Yep, not too bad at all. So we're going to do a little whip around the grounds now and decide what this whiskey's fate is in terms of its rating. So, Johnny boy, do you want to kick us off on that one, mate?
I'm going to give it a 7. So price point is good. Taste is, not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
So when you combine those two, 7, can drink it neat, which I like. I've been enjoying a few neat drinks lately. On the rocks also tastes good. And if you wanted to make a highball, I recommend just soda water and a tiny squeeze of lemon.
Yep.
Bit more traditional there with that style with the highball there from Johnny. So I reckon in my particular, it's a great entry level into Japanese whiskey, this one, being that it is priced very well. It actually is a good, delicious drink, plenty of fruit. I would prefer it straight, as I've previously mentioned. And as you said, that we do the hard work here and chuck it in a highball so that you guys don't have to do it at home. But some mistakes are worth making twice, really. Let's be honest. You guys can have a go at yourselves and be your own judges. But 7. 7's a good number.
Yeah.
Easily a 7 for value for money.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to follow suit with the boys here on 7. You can't fault it. Price point's the biggest factor with this as well. I mean, if this was probably anything over or close to 100, I think then you'd probably trim it back to maybe a 5 or a 6. Yeah.
You take points off as soon as it gets to that sort of price point.
Yeah. Anything around this sort of level, you need it to be that 65, 70 sort of mark. So
You've got to factor in inflation, mate.
Wow. Just because inflation happens doesn't mean my pocket or wallet inflates, mate. Yours might, because you can charge different rates. So
my inflation rates are going up week after week.
That's what I've heard. Has that tin been filled yet?
Yeah, we'll be getting there.
So that covers the 10 Jaku whiskey for this evening. It's scored a lovely 7. And we definitely recommend you get out and get a bottle if you're wanting to step into Japanese whiskey at an affordable rate. This one is a must. So when we return, we will be going through Roscoe's whiskey, which is the Shinobu. Stick around.
Oh, here's a fun fact. You made out with your sister, man!
Shut up! Go stick to the creature, the best thing in nature for sinking your sorrows and raising your joys. But there's nothing like whiskey to make maidens frisky. It soon separates all the men from the boys.
Fun fact for this week, Roscoe's favourite, this will be. The average measure of whiskey contains just 64 calories, fewer than a banana.
My safe word will be whiskey.
Sorry, Rod, what was that?
Whiskey.
Welcome back. We are on to the second whiskey of this evening, which is Roscoe's Shinobu Pure Malt Whiskey. Mizunara. How do you do it, John?
Mizunara.
There we go. Mizunara. It's about as good as pronunciation I've done of what I did of the Game of Thrones things the other week. So, well done me. Well done me.
And, remembering back to you going through the history of your whiskey, I think we're going to butcher quite a few Japanese words tonight.
I'm glad I left a lot of my ones out. All right. So, yes, Roscoe, this is your whiskey that you're doing this for this evening, mate. So the floor is yours, mate.
Beautiful. Thanks, Marco. It's nice to get back in here, have a little whiskey around the bar with the boys. And fortunately enough, I have a great neighbour, Johnny, who actually dropped this bottle off around at my house once upon a time and forgot to take it home. So this is my little... It
wasn't for a birthday, was it?
Might have been me 41st. Can't remember, to be honest. But, actually, so it's the Shinobu, and they're out of Niigata, Japan. Johnny, are you familiar with that region, that area?
Oh, not particularly myself, but...
That's the region there.
Not southeast, is it?
Nah,
it's quite central still, isn't it? On the western side of central.
Yeah, I haven't actually been up there myself.
Yep. So, funny thing, it's not far from... when Kevin Musker was in charge, this was actually his favourite whiskey. So...
you asked him, did you?
Yeah, was he FC Mariners or whatever he was in charge of when he was over there?
Central Coast Mariners.
Might have been Ange. Ange was in charge and won a couple of titles over there. So.
Yep.
Anyway, moving on. So, all right, let's get straight off the bat here. It's a 43% and it's a pure malt. So, this is the Mizunara cask finish. And, it's well presented in the case looks nice.
Mm-hmm. Sure does.
The bottle itself's got a little bit of colour to it. Not overly dark.
Darker than the last one.
Yeah, still quite golden, but a little bit darker, but 43% as well. So master blender signature on there as well, but I can't read those characters. I'm not sure what that says, but
didn't you study Japanese?
No, actually. That was
that was primary school.
No, it was my time at the University of Kent. Actually, so little joke there. No one else going to get. I was going for Ken of the Year. Anyway, moving on.
Yep.
So, these guys are quite new, and obviously everything I'm saying here I'm not certain is 100%, but I did my little bit of research that I often do and try and make the most of my abilities at times, and I'm not real good at computers, so...
just make us believe you.
Yeah, bear with me here, boys. But obviously, Suntory and Nikka are the guys that are the big front runners. And so these guys, Shinobu, are one of the sort of medium-sized guys that are coming in behind. And it's sort of a new option here with you. If you want to get into the Japanese whiskies, then these guys have released a couple of different sort of blended varieties. They've also got this pure malt. So, they're kind of climbing the scale as such. I'm not sure entirely how big their distillery and what it all is and what they're doing over there. But so this is in the it's the I'm not even going to say that.
First
distillery out of Niigata, which is about 200 miles north of Tokyo. So
interesting.
Paul Walker probably drove there in about 45 minutes. Might have been his last ride.
Shit.
But, moving on. So, interesting to know that it isn't actually distilled at this location.
Oh.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, I'm not sure why. It says that not all of it may be distilled because they say that it's the pure malt, but there's not a certification that it is how much of it is exactly the Japanese whiskey. You know how they sort of have that questionable sort of situation with whether or not they're importing some.
Yeah. So I saw this because out of the 3 whiskeys I was looking at bringing, I looked into one of them and they imported all of it for that particular whiskey.
Aha.
So what happens is they bring it all in from like Scotland or Canada and they pay taxes on the import. Because they pay the taxes, then they can claim it as Japanese whiskey.
Even though none of it was made at all in Japan.
I'm assuming there's a caveat that you age it in Japan.
Okay.
And finish it in Japanese barrels too, which is what they're doing here. So whether or not it's actually distilled at the distillery or whether or not they've got Scottish or Canadian whiskies in and then finished it in the Muzunara barrels and then labelled it as their own whiskey. So it's kind of not sort of clarified as such, but it is selected and created as a pure malt whiskey itself. And it does say the master blender's name on it, but I can't.
Right there. Here we go.
Can you read that, Macca?
Yeah. It's a red squiggly bit of text there, so I'm not going to be able to work that one out.
So
that is weird though. Like the fact that they're bringing the liquid in, so that must just be the raw spirit once it's gone through the last bit of the still and it's ready for barreling. Then they're just putting it straight on a boat, sending it over to Japan, and then they're going to finish it off in the Muzunara.
Yeah. So it'll just be the clear form.
Yeah.
at the new make spirit.
At the new make, and they just take it off the ship at it, and
I guess that's one way to keep your sort of
cost down.
Well, maybe not cost down, but keep your distillery cleaner. You don't have all of the the brewing, the fermenting, and all that sort of situation, the stilling, and you can just sort of get the product in, get it in your barrels, and label it as your own sort of whiskey.
Well, when you think about it, sourcing the malt or whatever you want to make it out of is probably pretty hard over there. So it's probably easier just to ship it in once it's after it's distilled.
True, but you do wonder, like, is there then a ceiling that these guys can only get to because they're doing this process as well versus other Japanese distilleries that are doing
the entire process.
The entire process, exactly. So theirs would run out at a certain price point where you go, no, well, you can't sit there and say that this is a $500 bottle because you can't afford to do that if you're just bringing the stuff in from overseas.
Oh, I mean, you can sell a $500 bottle. Whether people buy it or not is another question.
Yeah.
As long as people are buying, you can give it a go.
Yeah, I think the authenticity factor as well of making it within the same country, that's probably what you really want to get from it as well, though.
So a couple more little fun facts here. This is a 50% blend of malt whiskey and 50% blend of grain whiskey. So it's a combination there.
Old half and halfer.
Yeah, and then what they've done is also initially they put their spirits into the sherry barrels and also bourbon casks, and then they do the entire blend at the end with the Muzunara oak to finish it off.
Okay. Yep.
So quite a bit of a transition there between, 3 different type barrels with the 2 different type of grains.
Interesting. And then notes, boys. What are we drawing from some of these notes?
All right, I got to actually give it a smell.
Give it a smell.
Yep, picking up that Mizunara.
Is that the...
That's the pronunciation.
That's the oak you're getting. I'm getting a bit of honey on this one more than I did the Tenjaku.
Does have a bit more sweetness on the
Yeah.
nose.
Yep.
What about you, Ross? What are you getting?
Well, I've read the little nosing notes here, so there's
but forget you've read the notes. What would you honestly say?
It's too hard to remember because I did have a glass of this during the week and just to refresh myself and think what I thought of it. But
maybe like the very lightest peat to it as well.
No, we're gonna have to have a try of this. I'm not getting enough on the nose.
Well, to help you with the nosing, they've got it listed here as surprisingly sunny, lemon peel with freshly milled grain notes, and a reasonable amount of time spent in the sherry barrel. So if you're picking up any of that.
I got none of that. Mine was very different.
Well, the honey aspect, like before I was going to say that, I was going to say that it smells a bit like sunshine, like it's got a brightness about it in a sense. Not that you can put a smell on brightness or sunshine, but you know what I mean? Like it's got that inviting sort of smell behind it, I think, as well. But yeah.
Tell you what, you wouldn't smell too good bright and early on Sunday morning after a few whiskies. That's sort of, to me, it's like got a malty, like a bready malty cereal sort of nose.
Yeah, breakfast. This is honey. Honey you have on toast. I do.
Yeah, a few Wheat Bix.
Crumpets. That's 100% what I'm getting.
The malt. Yeah. So quickly, just before we get into the tasting of it all, then so the Shinobu, the meaning is the endurance, the perseverance, and the patience, which is the constant inspiration to the whiskey makers of the Shinobu distillery in Niigata, where they have the pristine streams fed by the pure mountain snow reach that's fed off the sea, that is fed into the Sea of Japan.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but I guess the only question with that is if they're making a new make spirit from another distillery's product, then it doesn't really have too much to do with the, the pristine water and whatnot. So
they can't really factor that in.
When you were reading through it, were they actually doing any sort of distill there, or were they?
I couldn't get too much information myself.
Yeah.
You probably might have a few more ideas of what is happening over there with some of these distilleries and whatnot, Johnny. But yeah, for me, I couldn't find any information specifically stating that it was their own product.
Yeah, well, whether they blended and whether they had a little bit distilled there and they just blended it in, or if it's just pure import, I would have to have a look.
I mean, yeah, again, if it's only a small amount anyway and you're still combining it with some other products and still making it, I guess you can clarify that it is your own waters that are being used in that sort of distilling process. So, interesting one. But, yeah, well, why don't we have a little drink there, boys, and see what we think.
It's very thin as well. Again, extremely thin like the last one. Hardly much texture behind this either.
It's got a little bit more bite than the Tenjaku.
It's soft. I still think that's really soft. Like
it's still soft, but compared to the Tenjaku, it's got a bit more bite.
Flavour or linger?
Just throat feel.
You reckon?
Just a little bit.
Yep. I believe this is really soft on the approach. Really, really soft.
But on the tongue, yeah, still a bit pretty light compared to all the Scottish whiskies we've had, and
probably a bit more like robust. Those flavors, they're sort of in your face more often than not, and you know your regions, you know what sort of flavors you're going to probably pick up as you go to drink them and that sort of thing. And while this one is obviously something new to us all, it's hard to quite get a first glance on it and get a sort of flavor to it. But
it's smooth.
Yeah, but it's
really smooth.
It's a neat little drink. There's no denying that.
I mean, it's like definitely a drink you'd have neat.
Yeah.
Just get home at night on a weeknight, and it's like I want to have a nightcap or a drink before dinner or after dinner, and chill out, relax. It might be winter, so you're like, I don't want to put any ice in it to cool it down. So it's a perfect sort of drink for that.
Well, I'm going to do an ice with it just to see the difference between the two.
And so, how did you guys go initially with that palate?
Yeah, I reckon it follows on from that. I reckon I'm getting a more of a heavier sweetness alongside that honey sort of taste, with a side of bit of maltiness, but not much fruit. I didn't really get any fruit flavour at all.
Yeah, I mean, these Japanese whiskies, I get that little bit of floral coming through on the tongue.
Yep.
Tiny bit of fruit, tiny bit of spice. And this comes back to what I was saying earlier, that they really do like to do a very blended sort of bit of everything.
Yep.
To suit the consumer over there.
Yeah.
They're making it for them. They're not going too erratic, are they, realistically?
No.
They're keeping it quite mainstream, quite neat.
Very, very balanced, as most.
Not offensive.
Yeah, most Japanese stuff is.
Yep. So what have we got in the...
We'll throw a little ice in there and have a little taste on that. But yeah, so with that finish there, do you sort of pick up anything on your finish at all?
The spice is definitely...
It's a light spice, isn't it? But like it's not...
No, it's not in your face. It's not a meal at Hot Gossip in Baronia.
That's the Indian restaurant, is it?
It was. It's not there anymore.
I heard they got 38 out of rotten tomatoes as well.
Like you would know, you're probably just getting the...
I just walked in the door and just had a sniff. That was enough for me.
I was going
butter chicken.
Yeah, I was going to say the butter chicken,
So, it's surprising, this one. It's sort of, the tasting notes that I've got here, I don't quite think that I'm getting them myself, but they are sort of got a few little...
Do they mention a white or a dark chocolate?
They do mention it. They do mention a little chocolate there, Johnny.
Oh, you looked this up, haven't you?
No. I got that. I got that after the ice.
Ah,
so
okay.
Better drop that one in there before he read them all out.
So sweetness has come in after the ice. Okay.
Yeah, so I reckon it's probably less malty now with a bit of ice in it. I reckon it was full malty on that.
It was.
Drink. Like it was a little bit funny in the sense that it didn't quite hit you in one direction. You couldn't quite put your finger on anything specifically, but seem to just be malt driven still, like maybe even almost as if it's hasn't developed heaps of flavour to it. And still using that malt, straight from the grain, straight from the, sort of keeping it quite raw, even, you know what I mean? Quite raw. But here on their notes, they've got...
Is this on which website?
This was from Master Drinkers.
Master Drinkers?
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
So, so on the palate there, they've said it's the malt is initially quite heavy with a strong edge of sherry-driven citrus character. It isn't long, though, until a surprising chocolate character starts to take over, growing stronger as the finish builds. So Johnny got that one. He's hit that for 6.
Nice.
That chocolate.
Well done.
So, and then with the finish, they're talking about having a lingering cocoa and vanilla note, which is entirely unexpected and certainly unusual for this quite satisfying drink.
Interesting.
Maybe they might be talking about the whole range of Japanese sort of whiskies don't often have a vanilla finish at all, maybe.
Unless you're getting it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's from the bourbon then, but they're using sherry and Muzunara.
Yeah, they've got the white oak, the Japanese white oak Muzunara casks. So, yeah, bit of an interesting one there.
Yeah. I honestly didn't get much chocolate at all on mine.
No, even after the ice?
No. I'm still... Hold on.
I reckon I can get a little orange now. A little that citrus that's been mentioned here, and I have that now. A little bit of citrus like an orange or something, maybe mandarin or orange.
I think I got more of that before the ice. Funnily enough, I think the chocolate is actually there now. This drink's cooled down more than what it was when I just chucked the ice in.
Yep.
The chocolate's a little bit more relevant in there now. Yep, I'm getting a bit of that.
So again, a pure malt. So we're talking about it being, it's going to obviously have quite a hefty little price tag to it, being a Japanese pure malt.
Difference between pure malt, single malt, just for listeners out there as well. Is there anything you boys want to sort of give a bit of a rundown on the differences between the two?
No, I'll leave it to you.
Well, they don't classify it as a single malt. Obviously, there's no law to say that it has to be a single malt. So I assume that what they'll call it in the Japanese... Call it, whatever you want. In there, they'll label it as a pure malt. They won't specifically say it is a single malt, but they'll open the door as it being a pure malt, which is kind of that upper echelon anyway.
Yeah.
Is that right, Johnny?
They'll have a few different malts, but the fact that it's just malt is what they're alluding to.
I think we'll do some research on this during the break, and we'll find out the differences between the two.
Yeah, we probably should know this.
I'm saying I reckon it's probably a rung down from single malt. I'd say you'd have your blend, your pure malt, and then a single malt. I reckon there's a reason why it can only be just called that.
That would definitely be it. I mean, that'll be what they're alluding to. So every new make that's gone into that has come from a malt as opposed to a rye or whatever. And
yeah. And what price point did you say this was again, Roscoe?
Well, it cost me nothing because I got a good neighbour. But if you were going to go down to the shop and try and get your hands on one of these bad boys, it's going to be around that 130 mark.
Yep.
So it's not your cheapest drink out there, especially that it is a pure malt, and you got the Japanese taxes, bringing that into the country and whatnot. You're going to obviously pay a few dollars for it, but so there's probably cheaper alternatives, but most of them would be blended. I'd imagine. If this is probably the starting point for Japanese pure malts, I would suggest. You wouldn't probably find too much cheaper, would you, Johnny?
No, I mean, I guess looking at what they're advertising it as, you compare that to like the Hibiki, which is roughly the same sort of breakdown, which is your combination of barrels and whatnot. The difference is the Hibiki is fully Japanese brewed, whereas it has a bit of import.
Yeah.
But the Hibiki, you're starting anywhere around $200 or so.
That's a pure malt, not a blend?
That'll be a blend.
That's a blend as well.
Yeah.
But it's obviously made there, so they can obviously lift up the price a bit more in that too.
Yep.
Interesting. Very nice. Very nice. And we're looking at a 700 mil, is that right, Roscoe?
Yeah.
Yep, 700 mil, 43% at $137.99 at Dan's right now as well for this bottle. So Yeah, we might do a quick little whip around the grounds. I think does that cover off most of your information there, Roscoe?
Oh, I've got about 3 more pages if you want. But look, if you're ready to wrap it up, mate, I've given you the ins and outs. And, yeah, look, it's there's not too much more to really go through here. They seem like they're sort of a mid-range sort of, level of guys over there. They're not quite at the very big guys like the Suntory and the Nika and that, but they're certainly, on the right track. They're obviously making a decent sort of drink that they're selling. I guess, Johnny, you might be able to answer this question. Do you know what sort of level they sell, as in into the domestic market, and what their international sort of levels are, or is there sort of maybe even across the board with that one? Is there sort of do you know any details on that one?
No, I wouldn't know too much, but I'm assuming you're probably not going to see it too much over there. It'll be roughly the same market penetration as it is here. You don't see or hear too many people talking about the Shinobu. They're all talking about, Suntory and Nika brews.
They're the main ones.
Yeah, they're the main ones coming through. And then, the same thing would be applying over there in Japan. So
Yep. Interesting. There you go. So let's do a quick little whip around the grounds, boys.
Well, I'll kick things off.
For you.
I initially thought that I didn't like this drink.
Oh.
I thought it was just a little light and a little bland overall. It didn't quite have those those ticks that you might think that you want to have in a glass of whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
But it was your two reactions when you started to pick out a few little bits and pieces here that sort of changed my mind a little bit, and I'm going to throw that extra point on top of it and give this one a 7. It is not the cheapest bottle out there, but it is a pure malt. I think it's not quite full flavoured.
No.
It's not full flavoured. It's probably a little bit light in that. It's kind of, I wouldn't say bland, but doesn't give you an indicative sort of level of which direction it's heading. It's kind of surprising. You know, that's the one thing about it. It's kind of, you don't know what you're drinking until you get it in there. But yeah, again, look, I'm happy to give it a 7. I think it's if you've got the money and you want to start shipping out and fill those shelves with some alternative whiskies to the usual stuff, then this is one to get, and go from there for sure.
Yeah, good. I think I would be also classifying it around a 7 too, for a price point of $137.99. That's where it's sitting at 7. It's not going to lift up any higher than that as well. The characteristics of this whiskey doesn't scream out to me. I mean, it is a nice looking bottle, box, presentation. The whiskey itself looks quite decent, but I think as well, hearing the background from it, that they are using liquid from other parts of the world and then bringing it across, I think that does trim it down a little bit for me for originality factor. I'll still give it a 7, mainly because the finish is quite smooth and very approachable. So, yeah. Johnny?
Yeah, I guess it really depends on the night you ask me. It'll be anywhere between a 6 and a 7. Any night of the week, I would be happy to come home, pour myself a glass of that and just sip on it. But you're looking at the price point, like you said, $130, $139, or $130, it's starting to get a bit high. Once again, you're talking about it's an imported, so they haven't distilled it there.
Yeah.
6 if I'm being picky, 7 if I'm just getting home from work and looking for a drink.
Yep. No, that's a fair call. So I think we'll average around 7 as well. So we got 7s for the Shinobu. So that's good. And just in other news as well, we're watching the Aston Villa and Everton game on the screen here while we're recording the pod. And Everton thought they'd snagged a goal. Lampard nearly ran in the stands and punched out about 4 Aston Villa fans, but didn't happen. So he went back down to the grass and resumed play. He didn't get his goal.
Lampard couldn't hit the side of a barn door since he left City. He's all right at City. He lifted that title.
Are you claiming him as one of your own?
No. Definitely not. He's been average ever since. So
that's pretty much wrapped everything up for this whiskey. When we return, we will be kicking off with Jono's surprise whiskey, which he hasn't told us what the name is yet. So stay tuned.
Oh, here's a fun fact. You made out with your sister, man!
Shut up! Go stick to the creature, the best thing in nature for sinking your sorrows and raising raising your doors. But there's nothing like whiskey to make maidens frisky. It soon separates all the men from the boys.
Another fun fact, Charles Jochen, the baker on board the doomed Titanic, trod water for 3 hours before being rescued. He claimed he hadn't succumbed to the cold due to the amount of whiskey he had drunk prior to the accident while the ship was sinking. Get your whiskey in here if you're going for a bit of a swim.
Until you use me up. My brother.
Welcome back. We have arrived at Jono's stupendous whiskies this evening. He has really, what would I use the term? He's really shelled out, I reckon, on these ones tonight.
I don't think I showed out anything. I didn't pay anything for them.
Well, your partner did, yes.
Well, partner's father.
Partner's father, even better.
Well, you might be paying for that for a long time, Johnny. Who knows?
I'll have to send him a few Australian whiskies back in return.
Yes. Any Australian whiskey distilleries want to contribute to the Jono cause, then by all means just email us in.
And of course, because Satomi's father, well-regarded member of society over there as well. Was he the mayor of the area? He's
He's well regarded. You know, nothing like that.
I just mean if any of these Australian distilleries want to get on board and want to share it with some good people overseas, of course, it's a big opportunity.
Get the mayor involved.
Yeah.
No, that's good. So Jono has brought 2 whiskies this evening. The first one that we'll be trying is the Yamazaki.
Yamazaki. This one is I think it's the Distiller's Reserve because it's got no age statement.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually, even in Japan, it's very hard to actually find Yamazaki.
Mm-hmm. And they do have it here as well, but the one we have here is an age statement. Is that right? The 12-year-old?
12-year-old, and, it's $450 a bottle here, and,
Yep.
if you're willing to fork out for it, by all means, go for it.
Mm-hmm. But I'm very, very eager to see what this is like because I've never tried a Yamazaki, even the 12-year-old or anything in Australia, and this is going to be quite an intro, I reckon, to it. What do you reckon, Ross?
Absolutely. This is an exciting drink. I've seen this bottle myself in the, bottle shops and whatnot every now and again, but it's barely there realistically, isn't it? You can't even see it. You can't even get your hands on it. Definitely not. So, yeah, a special drink tonight, and we're very grateful to be savouring this this little drop here that we're having tonight together, which is good.
Mm-hmm. Well, the floor is yours, Johnny.
All right, floor is mine. All right, like I said, I'm pretty sure it's a Distiller's Reserve because it was a little sampler bottle. It's got about 6 shots in it. So we've got about 1 shot each. So that leaves me half a sampler bottle.
Mm-hmm.
If I manage to get it home. They age this one in a combination of ex-Bardo, sherry, and Mizunara casks. So they're using 3 casks for the production process.
What's a Bard? Did you say Bardo?
Bardo.
What's Bardo?
Bardo.
The band.
Sophie Monk.
Bordeaux.
Is it Bordeaux? The French. Bordeaux.
Yeah. Did I say Bardo?
Yeah. Oh, shit.
So it's a French cask, more or less then as well, but specifically to the region of Bordeaux.
Yep. Specifically.
Yep.
And so the Yamazaki whiskey, it's actually pretty important to the history of whiskey in Japan because it's effectively out of the first distillery that was established in Japan. So looking into the history there, the Suntory Yamazaki Distillery in Yamazaki, Shimamoto, Osaka.
It's good effort. Good effort.
This was opened in 1923 by Tori Shinjiru under the parent company of Kotobukiya.
Kotobukiya, yep.
Kotobukiya. That was later renamed to Suntory.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the first malt whiskey distillery in Japan, like I said. At the time, Tori wanted to be serious about whiskey production, so he hired Taketsuru Masataka in 1924 to be the factory director Takasuru helped produce their first whiskey out of there, which wasn't the Yamazaki. It was, let me look it up. No, I've lost it.
That's all right.
Anyway, so they produced another whiskey out of there originally. It came out, wasn't great, wasn't well received. And then later on, Takasuru left the company in 1934 due to differences with Torii.
Wow.
Yeah, and then so further brief rundown of the history of Torii and the company of Suntory.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1899, Torii opened his first store to sell imported wines. 1907, he created a company called Akadama Port Wine. So that was the production of fortified wine,
Yep.
which he then sold through his storefront.
Yep.
1921, the store was turned into the Kotobukiya,
Yep.
which I mentioned earlier, company.
Yep.
1922, as an interesting fact, they caused a bit of controversy. So they released the first nude advertisement poster advertising that Akadama port wine that I mentioned just before.
What, with a nude person on it?
Nude person, you couldn't see anything so much, no nips, nothing else.
No nether regions?
No nether regions, but, it was kind of
Covering.
just above nips and up, and you had shadow and whatnot. But
Wow. And what year was this that they did advertise that?
1922.
22. Yeah, that would have been very
Controversial at the time. So it wasn't well received by the general populace,
And Japanese Japan as a country, they're very traditionalists in a sense that sort of thing's not going to usually fly too much, would it?
No. Well, yeah, like I said, it caused a bit of controversy back then.
Yeah.
Conservative as a country, and obviously 100 years ago as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So you're looking back then, the family of I think she wasn't a stage actress or opera actress.
She was.
Yeah.
Yep.
At the time, so her family was very upset at the whole situation, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I guess you make a bit of history there,
You're no different to Marilyn Monroe with a Jim Beam bottle or something like that.
No, that sex sells. It's always sold. So,
Yep.
I'm sure that advertisement is still sort of mentioned from time to time in folklore and whatnot. In Japanese, it was the first time it happened. And, more or less, I'm probably sure that this was, if it wasn't stripped out straight away and thrown out, it would it probably would have worked. You know what I mean? It probably would have been a good advertising market that they went to, and
definitely
probably sold plenty of these fortified wines that you were talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, they probably do well off it, and you probably go to a art museum nowadays, and if they're doing a Japanese history piece, you probably
That'd probably feature.
Yeah, that featured there. Anyway, moving on. So 1923, they built the Yamazaki distillery. 1929, first whiskey released. Here we go. Here's the name of their first whiskey, the Shirufuda, which roughly translates to white label.
White label. Okay.
Yep. This was poorly received by the general populace because they were leaning too hard into recreating a Scottish whiskey.
Because of Johnny Red.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they were trying to recreate the whole whiskey, the Scottish whiskey taste, and the palate over there wasn't quite attuned to it.
And I think white label as a brand, I suppose, like having a white label can sometimes also give off an effect to some cultures, in particular that it's not a premier whiskey as well. That's where in China as well they've got quite a lot of people that only purchase based on colour of bottles and class and that sort of thing. That's why hence gold is just sells ridiculously good. So yeah.
Well, I guess back then though, 1929, you're talking about white label. If you can keep your label white and clear, it kind of gives the illusion of clean.
That's true. Yep.
So maybe that's what they were going for.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, moving on. During the World War II era, they stopped production just to everything going on. 1946, they restarted and released a set of Tory whiskies. This time was much more, received much better.
Okay.
In 1963, they renamed the Kotobukiya. Too many times. Kotobukiya.
Kotobukiya, yeah.
Kotobukiya. To Suntory.
Okay. So that's
So-
where they changed names.
That's when they changed names. So Suntory being a play on the Tory relating to the founder's name,
Tory.
and sun relating to, the actual sun in Japan, the red sun being,
Yes. Yep.
featured. And then from then on, they went on to release several other distilleries, Chita, Hakushu, and, they gave birth to the Hibiki whiskey and all that sort of stuff. So all those Japanese whiskies, coming from that origin.
All started from that. Yep.
Yep. All right. So before I go any further into any of those sort of things, do you guys want to give your whiskey a bit of a smell? Tell
It's
me what you
very good on the nose. A lot more. Getting a hell of a lot more on this than what I did the last two. Wouldn't you agree?
It's if you're going to say a light fruit on it, maybe.
Yeah. Fruit's definitely there.
It might even be a lychee or a pear.
It's thicker. I'll tell you that much. It's a lot thicker than the last two too. Definitely a lot thicker.
Now, keeping in mind this is the distiller's reserve, so it's not quite the
12-year-old.
the 12-year-old or anything like that. The 12-year-old being their go-to, I guess, or the original starting. This has come in as sort of a bridge.
Yep.
It does coat the glass and take that little bit of time to drop. So it would be quite aged, I think. I think it's got that colour to it as well, that it's not, anywhere near sort of clear as the other ones we've had tonight as well. So I think
Still light.
Yeah, but you can see that time to just fall down the glass.
Yeah, that's what I mean, the thickness. Yeah.
Yeah, quite. I reckon there's a few years in this one.
Yeah, the viscosity.
Yes. I just had a good sip then. It's bloody good.
Yeah. All right, I'll quickly give you the nosing notes before we get onto the palate then. I've got two sets of notes. So from the distiller, they say strawberry, cherry, Mizunara.
Yep.
From Master of Malt, they give it quite a wordy nosing note. Classic Yamazaki strawberries and dried fruits with floral notes coming from the Mizunara cask whiskey. Fragrant sandalwood and maybe coconut. Certainly a whiskey where you could get lost in the nose.
You can a little bit, yeah. I understand what they're saying with getting lost in the nose a bit because you sit there still trying to distinguish what it is, but the fruit is the most prominent. I wouldn't have thought strawberry, though.
Maybe not the strawberry.
Nah.
It's strawberry in a field growing, probably, is nowhere near as scented as like a cut open strawberry, obviously. So, yeah, maybe they're talking about sort of that field sort of grown strawberry sort of scent.
It's easier a little bit, actually.
Yeah, like as
take your nose away a bit further away from it.
Yeah, as you're pulling it away, you can pick it a little bit.
Yeah. I was dipping my nose too far down. I nearly got bloody liquid in there.
Old brown nose of maca.
That was loud.
That was loud.
Scale that down a bit. Yeah, no, the strawberries are...
Yep, I'm getting that now.
They're coming into it. Yep.
Hard one for me to decipher.
Have a taste.
I cannot wait.
Go for it.
What do you say, Johnny, for such a drink like this?
I don't know. What do you say?
Gambai?
Oh, kampai.
Kampai.
Kampai. What's Gambai Park? What's Gambai mean?
Kampai?
Kampai.
Cheers.
Ah, cheers. Well, cheers, lads.
Cheers.
How smooth is that?
Yeah.
That's solid.
Yeah, that is a nice drink.
Even to taste it this late on, after the other two, and the highball, I'm still getting full flavour.
Yeah, very flavoured. A lot of flavour on that. Just sits on the tongue. It's still got that little warmth on the tongue now.
That's at least a 15-second carry there.
Well, it's got like no warmth down the back of the throat that you're, saying, oh, you don't want to have this drink because you don't like whiskey because it's too hot and too burning for you. This is a beautiful drink.
And this is made wholly and solely with their malts and everything like that all there.
Made all in Japan.
Good.
So they distill it there, they age it there.
It'd be interesting, Johnny, that obviously they originated in 23, so they're coming up for the 100-year anniversary next year, mate.
Yeah, they could have a 100-year anniversary bottle.
Oh, I'm certainly sure they will. And
You're going to get one of them?
I just imagine, probably almost have pre-orders out now for that sort of thing. I think they'd have a limitation of what they can actually produce for a bottle like that, but gee, it'd be nice to see what they can do with a specialist bottle like that one for next year.
Yeah, I should have pulled this up before, but they have quite the variety of aged whiskies that they sell. And, like I was saying before, the 12-year-olds are standard, and then they've got, what was it, like a 16 or an 18?
18.
And then
18.
the 21.
Yeah.
I think I've seen a 50 kick around.
Shit. That'd be a pretty expensive one.
That would be. So no chance we'll ever get to try that one.
Be bloody home loan payment.
Roscoe just charged the next person another 10 grand on the the next job.
It's funny you mention it. I'm working at a lawyer's house at the minute. So yeah, look out. Might have to put a few extra dollars on that one.
Yep. No, definitely. So just on this one as well, Johnny, you mentioned, so if they're coming up to an anniversary, that's the anniversary of when they started their first whiskey, but not really the anniversary of Suntory as such, though, isn't it?
So, 1923 was when they created the distillery.
Yep. Okay. So
it's even on that bottle there.
Yeah, it's on the
Johnny,
bottle, yeah. It's got 1923 printed on it.
Gotcha. Yep.
But anyways, so this particular version of the Yamazaki, not too many awards given to it. They're probably not shipping it out for, trying to get too many awards. They've got a few silvers at the International Spirits Challenge, and, that's about it.
Yep.
So nothing too much to write home about in that sense. But if you look at their other ones, they've raking up, all the golds, silvers, etc.
And was this one? This one's not available really in Australia at the moment, is it?
Oh, this one you can get. So
you can get this one.
If you're lucky, if you can find it, it was typical Yamazaki.
This one that you've got right now, are you saying that this one can be found in Australia?
Yeah, if they've got stock. So.
Did Dan say anything on there?
I don't know if I got it from Dan or someone else, but so roughly $170 for the bottle.
Not bad. That is not bad compared to what $450 you said the Yamazaki 12-year-old is. Yep. I think that's a cracking price if you can pick one up for that.
Yeah. Well,
it's a lot of money still for a 200 mil, that is, but...
For 200 mil?
No.
No, that'd be for the 700.
That'd be for the 7.
Yeah.
This is the distiller's...
Yeah.
Get for about $170 a bottle.
Correct.
For a full bottle. Okay, right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, good night. It's a nice drink.
Yeah.
Price.
All right. You want the notes on the palate, or you want to give it a go?
Yeah, I might... have a guess on those, Roscoe?
Well, it's quite intricate, I reckon. It sort of comes with a bit of warmth and a bit of fruit initially. And it's sort of it's got a nice mouthfeel, coats the tongue. It's, it's not too heavy. It's not soft. It's, it's got sort of layered there with fruit, touch of spice, nice warmth, but nothing hot. You know what I mean? Like
nothing too offensive, but it still has something there to make you notice it.
Definitely. Yeah, I'd say the spice is probably the most prominent one for me. But again, as Roscoe said, it's not a hot spice or anything like that at all. It's just a little bit of a tingle, but coupled with, I reckon, a bit of sweetness. There's a nice dense amount of sweetness with this as well. So
it's almost like a warm oak in that tasting. You get that, I reckon that must be that. I think we're using Mizunara cask again over here.
Yeah.
This one. And then, the sweetness at the end that it finishes with, it's like almost a sugary sort of syrupness to it. But, whether that's, I don't know what that could be at the end there, but, really sweet at the end. Like a flavoured little spice note with it. I don't know. What can we say there? It's nice and tangy with that little bit of a sweetness at the end.
Yep.
All right, I'll give you the notes. So, coming from the distiller, they're giving us raspberry, white peach, and a touch of coconut.
So that's where the coconut. These guys have sort of peeled it off with the nose part, but now they're saying it's actually in the flavour.
Yeah, in the flavour. And then going from Masters of Malt, the dried berries remain lively on the palate, but they are dialed back a bit to make room for the light oak, white peach, and small amount of spice.
Yeah. Yeah. So the spice they're already saying as well, that's pretty prevalent in there as well. Yeah. Yeah. You getting it as well, Johnny?
Yeah, that nice light spice and a bit of coconut even.
Yep.
Getting a bit of that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think it's a very, very nice drop, though.
All right. So just try it out. And some people might judge us for it, but we'll put a block of ice in it.
Yep. We can drink our whiskey however we want.
And just bring that back, cool that down, and that flavour. The fruit sort of enhances almost. The berries there enhance a little bit, I reckon. Just straight away, the berries come.
Did you want to crack open your little box of goodies there, Johnny?
Yep. So my partner, on her way back from Japan, she gives me a FaceTime call, and she's like, all right, I've got a bit of space in my bag. Is there anything you want me to pick up on the way? I'm like, I don't know. I'll just grab whatever. And she's walking around, and she goes, there's chocolate here. It's cool. It has the label chocolate for whiskey.
Ooh, very nice.
So she's like, all right, I'll get it for you, and you can try it with Mac and the boy.
That'll be good. Love a bit of chocolate on the pod.
Now, I had to actually get it to translate it because it's all in Japanese.
Give it to Rosco. He knows how to.
Yeah.
I know that. You can be certain it's going to be sweet. It's going to be super sweet. Like a lot of those Japanese little, biscuits and confectionaries are really high on that sweet side, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah. But so they've given us 4 different ones: a raspberry pistachio, a cacao nib, which she couldn't quite translate, but roughly is just chocolate coated with some kind of caramelization.
Okay.
And then a brown sugar macadamia.
I'd love to try that brown sugar macadamia. That's singing songs to me, that one.
You sure you don't want to go halves, Macca?
Oh,
yeah, we're all gonna try.
A few pieces in there. So.
Yeah, I'm not having the whole bag.
Sharing's caring, mate. You know what I mean?
If you can get it open.
We've got another one of those things again. You have to use a bar blade. There we go.
It's not a condom wrapper, is it, Macca?
You've used a few condoms in your life? I don't think you did. There you go, mate.
Cheers.
Are they still in date?
Yeah. I think we got till September.
Oh, it's coming up. All right. Cheers, boys. Give it a bell.
Quite full of flavour, that.
Very different sort of chocolate.
Wasn't what I was expecting. But still pretty good.
Almost tasted like, not smoked, like toasted chocolate. Like it's got a
toasted chocolate.
Yeah.
Good way to put it.
like cooked chocolate. Like you've had it in like the oven or something like that. That's really nice.
Pairs well with the Japanese whiskey, doesn't it?
That's a cracker.
Remember last time Johnny brought in some pairing foods. Macca, how'd you go with that one?
You got a good memory there.
Yeah.
Didn't think you remembered anything after a week.
How'd you go with that one again, Macca?
Let's not bring that one up.
Oh, mate, you enjoyed it. You said you enjoyed it until you knew what it was.
Well, I think it was fair to say that, I got nothing.
Hey, you were eating it till you found out there was wasabi in it. So.
Then my fucking mouth went on fire.
Yeah.
Yep. Didn't last long.
Maximum spice.
Too much spice.
No, but so this chocolate company is called Royce. And just off that first one, and that actually does go pretty well with the whiskey.
Yeah.
You know, I ate it. I had a bit of whiskey, and I don't know what it is, but the whiskey's flavors are coming through a bit more.
Breathe through your mouth, like with your mouth closed, but do the like through your nose and that sort of stuff as well, so you can still get the flavour of that chocolate still coming through.
I think the oak that's prominent in this drink on the tasting note is paired well with the nut, the macadamia, the nut.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think they work together, and even that toasted sort of chocolate flavour, that the combo there is perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good combination.
Good selection, Mac. Well done.
Well, you know, you can try the pistachio if you want another nut. And
That's spicy, isn't it?
no. What are you talking about? It's another nut.
I'm joking.
Anyway.
More salted. The pistachio macca might be right up your alley.
I've had a few pistachios.
No, you're pretty salty, actually.
Anyways, so while Mac opens that one up, I'll give you the finish on the whiskey. So sweet vanilla, clear finish with hint of cinnamon. That's the notes from the distiller.
Yeah, cinnamon's there. That's that sweet finish.
Yep.
Yeah.
From us is a malt. Vanilla last with spice, but sweet cinnamon acting as a final flourish.
Final flourish. This chocolate tastes different. The way that it's done, this is sweeter.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a little bit more sweeter, isn't it?
It's like a sweet and salty combo.
Me and you, Macca.
Which one are you?
I'm the king.
King of sweet. Sweet chin music, that's what you need.
Anyway, I'll give you a quick bit of info on the region. So the Shimamoto region in Osaka, or actually it's technically the Yamazaki in Shimamoto in Osaka.
Yep.
It's roughly about halfway between the city of Osaka and the city of Kyoto. So this is where there are three rivers converging, the Katsura, the Uji, and the Kizu. So this has created a quite unique misty climate and one of Japan's softest waters. Has a diverse temperature and humidity throughout the region.
And they're using this water straight out of these rivers through the production in the facility as well, yeah?
Yep.
Yep.
Interesting to note that they clarified it as the softest water. Did they test this? Did they?
Yeah, I don't think you can quantify this.
Yeah, did they give us density levels of the water? Still nice to put on the label.
Yep. Creates a nice picture.
Yeah.
Mental picture, I guess, in a way. And another interesting note about the region, in 1582, there was the Battle of Yamazaki. So, in the Honiji incident, Akichi Mitsuhide, a retainer of Oda Nobunaga, attacked Nobunaga as he rested in Honnoji and forced him to commit seppuku. So seppuku, getting your sword, stabbing
Stabbing yourself.
your belly, cutting across and up and just spilling your guts out.
God.
Mitsuhide then took over Nobunaga's power and authority around the Kyoto area. 13 days later, Oda's forces under Toyotomi Hideyoshi met Mitsuhide at Yamazaki and defeated him, avenging his lord Nobunaga and taking Nobunaga's authority and power for himself. Now, for you Age of Empire 2 fans, this battle is featured in one of the expansions.
I'm pretty sure I had this in PlayStation 2 Tenchu.
Tenchu Sells Assassins.
Yeah.
I've got that here. Mel's probably playing it right now.
Not a bad game.
Possibly. I think it's featured in a few other games.
Yeah, wow.
But yeah, so that's about all I had on the region itself.
Yeah, that's good.
A good bit of info there.
I'm just doing a little look here at the area where it might be, where it has those three rivers. The combination area, it's probably right there. Which is
that's about there.
Awesome.
Yeah, which is quite central, isn't it, Johnny, as well?
Yep.
In the region there.
So Osaka's north of Japan, of Tokyo?
No, it's
Is that south?
southwest. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you follow the coast around, so
It's down the bottom. Yep.
so it's further along.
Yeah.
South Macca.
That's right. I'm glad you're sitting here with a map, as you usually do. Try and look up shit while your buddy should be listening.
So it's southwest of Tokyo.
Yeah.
As Johnny said, yep.
Yeah, nice. Very good. Have you got any other notes with that one, mate?
No, I think that's about it for this one.
Yep. Well, let's do a whip around the grounds on this one. Johnny, you can kick us off with this one firstly.
Oh, it's very nice. And I don't know. I reckon I need a few more of them to get a good verdict. But I'm sitting on about an 8 right now.
Yep.
Good taste, very smooth. You can have it neat or on the rocks. Price point, it's not the cheapest out there. You're looking at $170 a bottle for this particular version, so it's starting to creep up a bit. But definitely a good drop.
Yep. No, that's good. I think I'm going to shock a bit here. I'm actually going to give it a 9.
Yeah.
I like the fact that it's still 170 is a decent price point for what we're getting here. We're talking the McLaren of the Japanese whiskey industry in Suntory as well. They're the leaders. They're the big ones, and they produce the best whiskies in Japan as well, the most well-known ones too. So I honestly think this is a strong 9, and pairing it with that chocolate, you definitely want to go and get your hands on. If you can't find this chocolate, try and find something of the equivalent in your local stores as well.
Yeah, like a nutty chocolate.
Yeah, Cadbury's fruit and nut maca. One of your favourites.
No forest fruits. No forest fruits here. It's a definite 9 from me. Roscoe?
I'm certainly happy with this sort of drink, and it's a few and far between to get something like this, and so served up here tonight, it's a special one. I would say better without the ice.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, just better without the ice. I think it cools it, but you just don't have that all the flavour that they gave you in that bottle, and it's a master select. He's telling you this is how it's meant to be drunk, and I agree. It's probably throwing that block of ice in cooled it a little bit, but it didn't quite change it too much that made it any better at all. There's no doubt about that. So I reckon they deliver with what they say. I didn't pick up the strawberries in the nosing, and there was a strong prominent oak in the tastings, and was trying to figure out what that sweetness was at the end, and it was cinnamon, I reckon, for sure. It's sort of light spice, very sweet, nice finish, and great drink. 8 for me.
Yep. Very good. So that rounds out that first one there in an 8, an 8, and a 9 as an average. Roscoe, that would be an
8.66.
No, very good, very good. Well, that's
8.33. It could be.
All right, we're just going to take a quick little short break, and when we return, we are going to try Jono's second whiskey, which is the
Yoichi.
I'm itchy.
Yeah, Yoichi.
Am I?
Yeah, Yoichi.
The Yoichi. So stick around. We'll be back.
stage. That's the major way to display a new sound. Check it out, check it out. You now rockin' with the rest out of this. Display a new sound.
Welcome back to Having a Crack with Jono, Rosco, and myself, Big Mac.
DJ Big Mac with that one.
It's a good little new track I thought I'd chuck on there tonight. But we are at the final whiskey for this evening, and Johnny again has got this from his little private collection, and it is called the...
Yoichi.
I'm not itchy, I'm telling you.
Alrighty then.
Yes, Yoichi. So give us everything you know about this one, mate. I'm very, very eager to hear.
All right, here we go. A single malt Yoichi, no age statement. So previously they had age statements, moved away from it due to general supply issues. They just couldn't produce it fast enough, and yeah, they decided to start blending it.
Stamp it with a number and be able to sell the bottle. And yeah, obviously a bit technical there. They can't sort of stay on top of production and sales, obviously, as well, is the key factor there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much. So this one is aged in sherry, New American oak, ex-bourbon barrels, and others. So they left a bit of room there for...
So what we're talking could be 5 different barrels.
Yeah, well, they're being a bit vague there.
Wow.
Well, definitely 4.
Definitely 4, yeah.
Potentially 5, yeah. So
that's a lot.
Obviously, they'd use probably like the Japanese oak finishes as well, maybe or something like that. So that's probably one you could think. But you got a sherry, you got the bourbon cask as well. So
New American oak.
New American oak
as well.
They haven't had an
Anything
American
in it.
oak that hasn't had any bourbon in it.
Yep.
So that's very interesting in that.
Is that virgin American oak then?
Yep.
That's the same thing, yeah. Yep.
Yep. So this one, even though there's a no age statement version, they're not doing their age statements anymore, but they've won a few awards for it. So they've shipped it around a bit. They've got in the bronze, silver, and gold at the World Whiskey Awards, and then a combination of gold and silvers at the International Spirits Awards.
Fair
challenges.
Fair effort. That's good.
So they've done all right here. Now, you want to give it a nose, or you want a bit more on the distillery first?
I'd like to know who does this.
So the Yoichi Distillery, which is based in Yoichi, Hokkaido.
Mm-hmm.
So they were opened in 1934 by Masataka Taketsuru.
Okay.
Now, that name should sound familiar because that was the name of the guy hired for the Yamazaki Distillery prior to that.
Ah, okay.
So those two were initially partners?
Yep, initially partners. So the...
So Tori gave him the flick?
Yeah, Tori Shinjiro hired him initially to run the Yamazaki Distillery. He ran it for a while. They had their creative differences, and then he went, all right, I'm going to go out and do my own thing.
Good on him.
So he went out, formed a new company. So the new company name at the time was the Daiju Nippon Kaju Company.
Okay.
Later renamed to Nikka Whiskey Distillery.
Ah, okay.
So there's your two big players back in the day.
Back in the day, they were originally together.
Yep.
Suntory and Nikka Whiskey were both...
They were one.
One, in a sense. So... more interesting notes about it, though, is Masataka was known as a businessman and a chemist. He was born into a family that had been brewing sake since 1733. In 1918, he travelled to Scotland to study organic chemistry at the University of Glasgow. In 1919, he began an apprenticeship at Longmorn Distillery, followed by another apprenticeship at James Calder and Co. Bowness Distillery later that year.
So he's got a bit of background from Scotland.
Bit of background
and
there.
history there, to bring it across.
1920, he married a Scottish lass.
Ah, good on him.
By the name of Jessie Roberto Cohen. So back in 1920, naturally, both families opposed this union. So there was a bit of tension there. Later that year, he started his final apprenticeship at the Hazelburn Distillery. At the end of the year, he moved back with his wife to Japan with his wife.
Yep.
1924, he started working at Suntory, like I previously noted, or, at the time it was noted as Kotobukiya.
Kotobukiya, yep.
Kotobukiya.
Those guys again.
Yeah, back in it. Where he helped establish their whiskey distillery.
Yep.
It's a bit of a love story here, isn't it? Realistically, the two guys start up together and go their separate ways, and this guy as well had done all the research as well in his Scottish style of whiskies at the same time, and had a relationship in marriage there with the Scottish, which has probably got influence in this as well. The style of that. So
yep. So he's done the work. He's travelled to Scotland. He's done the apprenticeships. He's experienced the culture over there. Even married a Scottish lass, and he's come back to try and brew whiskey in Japan.
Not only that, he has a family that had the sake history themselves for 150 years before him. So they obviously knew how to make a alcoholic beverage over there as well.
Yep.
So there's a lot of history in this drink, isn't there, realistically?
Yeah, well, a lot of history in the whole whiskey creation in Japan.
Yeah.
In a sense. Anyway, moving on. 1934, he left Suntory, founded the Daiju Nippon Kaju Company, which was later renamed to Nikka Whiskey Distilling.
Mm-hmm.
He chose the town of Uichi because it reminded him of the Highland region of Scotland due to it being close to the sea, surrounded by mountains on three sides. The distillery uses direct coal fire to heat the stills, which was similar to the Longmore distillery. This is a much harder process for heating the stills because it's very hard to control the temperature.
Yeah.
Obviously, that range would get so hot so quick. It would be very difficult to...
and you got to control how much coal you're heaping on and all that sort of stuff. But they're still using this process today because they attribute that a lot to the taste that, comes out of the drink.
Yeah.
So they still do it.
They still
today.
do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's authenticity for you.
Well, they would be one of 10 distilleries in the world that probably still do it today, yeah?
Probably, yeah. Not many would do it, but,
It's not an effective process either.
No. You got to have someone there with a shovel and a lump of, a pile of coal.
Get the right temperatures.
Yeah, heap it in and get it going. And
yeah.
Got to monitor that temperature, make sure it doesn't get too hot or too cool.
And not only that, the open flame at any point, that could be a disaster.
Yeah.
I reckon do the nosings here because I'm really eager to tell you exactly what I picked up straight away, which I'm sure you both can agree the exact same thing.
Yep.
There's a humongous waft of peat. That is huge.
For a Japanese whiskey.
For a Japanese whiskey, exactly.
I don't know if it's more oak. I'm not getting like a full-on hard peat. I'm getting like a...
It's fucking peat heavy.
Yeah?
Very.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, not compared to the heaviest peats of Scotland.
No, but for Japan, I've never smelled a peat on Japanese like this.
But I mean, yeah, when you say...
but it's also got a bit of maritime about it.
That's what I think is more... When you were just saying that story, that part where they selected it and it was close to the the mountains and whatnot, but on bays on each side or whatever.
It's around water. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I reckon. I get on the nose myself. This is an interesting drink with Scottish heritage, owned by Nikka. There's a lot to go with this, and 200 years in the family, or 100 years, 150 years of making sake through the family. So,
you reckon a bit of Brian?
Old mate.
Bit of Brian. It's
a bit of maritime.
I think this resonates a lot because of everything that you just said, though, about his Scottish pull that he had done in terms of his history and where he'd gone back to as well. I think that's really summing up this whiskey already before even tasting it. It's shaping up really well.
And compared to the other Japanese whiskies we've tried so far, this does have a lot of Scottish influence on it.
Yeah. Yep. All right.
So you want a bit of the notes?
Yeah, give us the nose on the notes.
All right. Full-bodied and smooth, a mellow peat softly coats the aromatic palate at first, growing more powerful with time as smoke, soot, and salty notes transcend the initial nose. The aromas then evolve towards candied citrus fruits, black licorice, and spices. Then opens up with roots and dried twig aromas. Heady and floral, it grows increasingly complex.
Wow.
That's a lot for just a nosing.
Yeah. Some serious
That's
words.
heaps. But the peat, first thing he read out.
Oh, mellow peat softly cuts the aroma.
Mellow peat to a Scottish standard, but a Japanese standard, that's a high peat.
Yep, definitely.
That's strong as for me. And tasting, I've just had a sip. Roscoe, you just had a sip.
Of Rudy.
You just did too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Mate, I'm keen as for this. So did you. You just had
I
one.
can see Mac salivating over there in the corner.
I can see it on your mustache.
Yeah, well, I'm just about to enjoy it, but I'm just looking at the glass. It's so thick in the glass as well, isn't it?
Oh, it's got a very good viscosity. It just sticks
This
to
is
the
a-
glass.
This is a whiskey that has a lot of good things going for a bit, before you even get to wrap your lips around that glass. So let's do it.
It's actually lighter than the Yamazaki.
It is. Yeah. It's not as dark as one of them that we had tonight. I got some floaties in my one.
Sure that wasn't from you, or
No.
No.
They're crumbs.
Couple of crumbs left out.
something eaten earlier in the night?
Yeah, some chips.
Some nice pairings. Don't worry about that. Some more pairings of the old Japanese biscuits there. So keep that going.
I reckon before we put ice in, Johnny, grab us what other flavours of chocolate we got there.
There was the cacao and the cacao.
Give us the cacao one.
Nib.
I don't we'll still try the raspberry one, but I don't know if the raspberry will pair as well with
the
this.
raspberry you've already tried. That was pistachio and raspberry before.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Didn't taste any raspberry at all
So
on
you
that.
got like a heavy cacao or a cacao nib. So it's like
Go heavy cacao.
heavy cacao.
Is that going to be dark chocolate?
With the heavy peat and with the heavy maritime.
That'll be interesting.
Give that to you to open. 'cause
There
you-
is yeah, it's there. You're upside down.
Little tear nut.
These little balls. Fuck, they're black.
Okay.
Jesus.
Oh, thanks, mate. What colour is that?
Black.
Oh, right.
They're
Did you say
very
what I think
dark.
you said? Who scored the goal, Macca?
I don't know, but I'll tell you this: if your team has Solomon Rondon coming on in the fucking 65th minute, you're cooked. He's a shit cunt and does not deserve to be on that pitch.
How many people are saying the C word tonight and it's not me for once, so that's good.
I'm just telling you how it is. He's shit.
Interesting little chocolate. He's very flavoured. And
It's
it
hard.
Yeah, but it's I don't know how it's going to go. It's almost as full on as this drink as well. This is a full on drink. This is a flavoured drink. This one.
That's very dark chocolate.
No, I reckon it complements the drink very well.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does.
but yeah, it's the type of because that's a flavoured chocolate, and this is a flavoured drink. There's so much flavour going on in this drink.
They go together well. So the Yoichi is a 45%.
45. So we've gone 40, 43, 45. Oh, no, what was the Yamazaki?
Somewhere in the 40s.
Yep.
Would you say this is 45, Johnny?
Yeah.
Higher in alcohol content against the others as well.
Yep.
So
Yamazaki,
can get that.
43.
Yeah. 40, 43, 43, 45. Yep.
this is a pretty impressive drink.
It is.
It's not your every person drink, but like this is it is a top region of like quality. But you wouldn't be your standard starting drinker jumping on one of these. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
There's a lot going on in this drink, and well deserved to do it. Enjoy it if you're at the next level. You're not your entry level whiskey drinker.
Yeah.
I mean, you can help yourself to one of these if you can. But
This you'd almost pull a Scotch drinker across to.
this is what I'm saying. This is there's a lot of this going on here, isn't there?
If you want a Scotch drinker to leave Scotch for a little bit and jump over to Japanese,
Yeah.
you'd show them this one.
Yeah, this would be what you would give them. Definitely.
Yeah.
You know,
What-
you
what-
want to go for the blends or anything, you go for this one.
Yep. What? Before you get into the pellet, I just like to know what's the price point on this one.
150.
Fuck. Okay.
I mean, yeah, 150s. There's lots of 150 whiskies from Scotland. That's
Some
that
don't
price
cut the
point.
mustard.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's definitely, this is a well represented drink. And not only that, it's Japanese too, so it's always going to be higher, always higher anyway. So it's probably only
$100
by comparison, no, but like 130 as a whatever you'd buy out of a Scottish sort of drink for 130.
Like 120 maybe.
Yeah, which would be well and truly right up at the top level of that standard if you were comparing those drinks together.
We tried that Delmore the other week, and that was 120, and that was a bag of shit. Really, like for what it was. If you
Having said that, the Delmore I have been using after work. I have come home. I've gone. I just want a nice drink that I don't need ice. I don't need whatever. I can just drink neat. And I've actually been reaching for the Delmore.
really,
Yeah.
it's an expensive drink to always drink, I suppose, after work.
Well, I got to drink it somehow.
Yeah,
but,
true.
You know,
That's a good point.
it's good for that.
Yeah.
Whether you want to spend that much on a after work sort of nip, it's up to the individual.
Yeah,
But definitely good for that.
yeah.
Anyway,
So flavour notes
for the Yoichi.
for the taste. Yep. You pick up on anything?
Well, it's just hard because there's so much to it. Like it's got the peat, it's got the saltiness, it's got like a long developing
Peppery.
long developing flavour there that continues. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't just go straight away. So
It's a long linger on the peppery spice.
Definitely.
White pepper.
Gonna go the white pepper, eh?
White pepper. Roscoe likes that one best.
It's more nah.
What? Black pepper. Kick it on, Johnny. What's the
Alright, here we
flavour
go.
notes?
Firm and powerful, a well-balanced attack gives equal footing to aromas of peat, smoke, spices, fresh fruit, and nuts, which it delivers in spades.
Nuts.
The mid-palate starts off with chocolate notes, but the peat soon takes the lead once again.
The peat's there the whole way.
Yeah.
But I didn't get the peat as strong in the nosing, which is probably, more often not. You get the peat on the nosing on a Scottish whiskey and you get it in the flavour. There's not too many that hide it like the way that this is sort of, for me, hidden. It's not that prominent in the nosing. It's there in the drink. But they have basically said the entirety of the nosing, they said it was light peat and then into maritime and then into had fruits and then it went into like twiggy sticks and like rooty sort of earthy. They just went, we do this with.
Yeah.
Then they've almost said the same thing on the tasting. They've given you like 3 listings there on the tasting that are just massive this, massive this, massive this. They haven't really specified items on it. Do you know what I mean? When you read back through it,
Yeah.
they're quite intricate on their selection of words they use.
Yeah,
But yet it's
yeah.
really difficult to put. I can't really get the fruits that they say you can get in this drink.
Yeah, well, so when they said fresh fruit, they went for melon and kiwi. For the nuts.
Does that mean I've had kiwi fruit now?
counts, doesn't it?
It
And then
counts.
for nuts, they said almond and walnut.
Almond and walnut. Yep.
Yeah.
Could be almond. Yeah.
Or
Walnut's
one or two?
walnut's a bit more of a drier nut as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I don't know if I get that as much. Especially after eating the chocolate right before it as well that we just had.
Well, but it paired so well.
Yeah, it was a strong chocolate. Yeah, get another one of them out. Is there any more of them?
Yeah, so this one
That's
looks
the
interesting.
nib.
Hang on,
This
how
is
many
a nib.
chocolates are in each?
So
There's plenty.
Plenty.
Well, give me back one of those other strong ones first.
Well,
I want to have another. I want to have another
Well,
one.
try
Look at
this one. Try this one.
Yeah. What's this one? Chocolate nib.
Chocolate nib actually is little tiny
Have a
things.
nibble on a nib.
I'll be nibbling away.
So it's caramelized cacao.
Yeah, you got to get on this. Speaking of which, you mentioned Twiggy sticks before. You ever,
That was in the nosing.
did you ever have a Twiggy stick
I
before?
hate them.
They sell them in the deli.
Yeah. Do you eat that shit?
Fuck no.
Yeah, they're the worst things in the world.
What's this? We're eating Cocoa Pops.
Yeah, the little nibs. I guess that's what they meant by nib. The tiny little.
That is a Cocoa Pop. Smell
It's
it.
like bloody. Get a few of them, Macca.
I might need a few.
They're like sultanas. They're like dried up sultanas, you know?
Not even that.
small.
They're tiny. They're
No, that's, smell it. It smells like a Cocoa Pop.
Oh, yeah? Does too.
We're eating Cocoa Pops here with whiskey.
Yeah, but it's soft.
Have you got some?
no, not yet.
Oh,
It's like cooling. It's got a cooling taste to it.
very soft.
It's still pretty heavy on the chocolate. Is that like a... There's something inside, like a biscuit? Maybe a nib must be biscuity.
It's like a salt. It's like salty as well. It's got like salty.
Yeah, but can you feel that crunch? It's like a Malteser-y.
A bit like a caramel.
Is it? No. I feel like there's something that I'm crunching here.
It is kind of like a biscuit, yeah.
Yeah, it's a biscuit. I reckon you look up nib, I reckon it's fucking biscuit.
You look it up, Macca. Get back to us. Or maybe those listeners can get in, send us those emails that we've been...
Shannon from Wagga, can you just look that up for us?
So this is a good drink, Johnny. A lot of history in this drink. And they covered the regions. They said, we do this, we do that. But
Yeah.
I'm not getting in a specific influence in the drink of that fruit. What fruit was it again?
Kiwi?
Melon and kiwi.
Nah, not getting that.
I'm not.
No. But apart from that, I reckon a
Peat spice and...
tiny bit of nut.
Yeah, that. There's no floral, no sweetness, and the ice going in there now has not brought any extra of those to life. It's still continued on with that flavour.
I reckon there might be a bit of melon after you drink it.
In your aftertaste?
Yeah, just a little bit.
So in the finish. I'll give you the finish notes.
Mm-hmm.
Long, silky, extremely mature. It overflows with ripe fruit.
It does.
The peat starts taking on a herbaceous and malty character, while the salty flavors gives the finish plenty of depth and coastal freshness. The final nose offers menthol, spicy, and earthy notes. So for,
Earthiness is there.
yeah, for spicy they were saying coriander and dill. For earthy they were saying leather and chestnuts.
Leather. Fucking leather again.
Listen, not rubber.
Yeah.
So that's a real tricky one because it's a great drink. I don't know. You almost say this has got like Isla sort of flavour characteristics in there. In a few
Islands.
hidden, yeah, but well, islands. But if in a few of those sort of, it's got that, you know, maritime, and it's got that little bit of peat, but the peat's through the drink, and then I reckon with the finish as well, the fruit at the end, it's in the finish, it's fruit straight away, and that's where I was saying the melons.
Yeah, no, it's well,
Yeah.
they're heavily influenced by the Highlands here. So, you know, and I'm definitely picking up on a lot of that coming through.
I'm going to try the first chocolate that we had, which was the macadamia.
Macadamia.
Let's try that smokiness, sort of burnt, chocolatey.
Which one?
Sort of
Sorry,
flavour.
did I say- No, I just had this other one. The one that's super strong. That's
You
the
did the really dark chocolate one.
I reckon that works well with this drink.
It does.
Yeah.
That last one that we had, little mini Cocoa Pops, they were shit with it.
This is so.
They're all right. They're not shit.
No, I don't think they paired as well.
I reckon this one's the one with this drink. This drink is a strong drink. Has so much on it, but yeah, because you reckon it's Highlands is more like robust sort of floral stuff, Johnny. I don't reckon it's got like Highlands so much with it. I reckon it's more like peaty and more island, more Islay, more. Yeah, that's for me. This drink. This is a beautiful drink.
That burnt chocolate and macadamia. Oh, fuck. That is perfect for this because it's got nuttiness. It's got burn.
It does bring something else to life out of the whiskey.
Did you just try it with that?
I just tried it with that. Yeah,
That is a cracker.
something else.
Wow.
Something else just starts coming out of the whiskey.
And leave the macadamia in your mouth. Chew it, but leave it in there and swish it around with the whiskey as well.
That's what she said. What's the score marker up here? What do we got?
It's a 2-1 victory to Aston Villa. Frank's about to have a kitten. He's got the tears flowing.
Frank's about to be looking for another job, isn't he?
As
How
was
did they survive last year?
from
How did
Solomon
he
Rondon.
survive?
No, they shouldn't have survived.
Anyway, hopefully more of the same from Everton.
You tried that now with that?
I reckon this drink is phenomenal. I'm not sure if this drink is getting better because we're eating it, these biscuits with this drink, because that's probably what's happening here.
What were they?
The biscuits
Biscuits?
that we're eating.
Biscuits?
Yeah.
Chocolate?
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, before we wrap up, I'll give you a quick bit on the region. So, Yoichi, Hokkaido is a coastal town not too far from Sapporo, like about an hour by car.
Yep. Where the famous beer is.
Colder climate ranging from -6 to 26. Nice beaches in autumn through spring, close to ski slopes. In addition to whiskey, they produce wine and fruit in the region. In fact, it was the first town in Japan to grow apples, and it was the birthplace of Mamura Mori, which was a NASA astronaut.
Ah.
They named a region after, well, not a region, but like kind of like a museum after him, or part of the museum, to the Yoichi space apple. Kind of, in a way, I guess.
Yep.
You know, NASA, space.
Apples.
You know, apples.
Interesting
Yeah, it's very,
connection there.
very sort of weak connection. It was a big fishing area back in the day. They caught a lot of herring just for making fish oil. So it wasn't so much for eating the fish; it was for making fish oils.
Wow. It's yeah. It's got a very good history. I love the connection. I love the whole basis of it, and the fact that it's completely bringing something new to the table.
This drink's outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you say we do the whip around and find out where it's rating tonight?
All right, you guys go first.
I'll go first because I haven't gone first yet.
Mackie, you're always last.
Well, we don't get many times to sort of do this, but this drink has everything in it. And even something like this, I reckon, is pretty prominent, which is...
Yep. It's made with bits of real panther, so you know it's good.
It's really pungent, really smoky, really phenomenal on the nose. The finish, the taste, the whole works is just all in one. Cracking drop. It gets a solid 10 for me, so... Rosco?
Outstanding drink. Not sure if it's...
I'm not sure if you put your phone on silent.
I did do that. Not sure if we're wrapping this segment up very shortly or not. But outstanding drink all the same. It does everything it says, but it does tell you it does everything it says, and it has a huge, broad horizon there. It doesn't really like pinpoint, because it does a lot in the drink itself anyway. So it does have to give you everything. The history of the drink is also what's creating it as well, which is creating it to be a good drink.
Yep.
And look,
Fucking turn your phone on silent.
settle down, mate. That's money in a swear jar for you. This is a good drink. This is like, well, it's hard to say. You know, when you're probably the best way to describe how good this drink is when you watch White Man Can't Jump and they do the 3-point shootout. And Sidney Dean and Billy Hoyle are shooting 3-pointers from bang, and they hit all of them in a row, all of them in a row, all of them in a row, all of them in a row. And then the final one is Sidney Dean, and he hits it, and he doesn't make the shot, and he loses.
He hits it, and he doesn't make the shot?
Yeah, he jumps, shoots, and he doesn't make the shot.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I think. This is a 9.5. It's almost a 10. Not quite, but it's better than a 9. That's the thing. It's better than a 9. It's better than a 9, but it's not quite like the most perfect drink in the world. But it's very good. So happily buy this for $150. I'm going to get myself a bottle of this.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. No, I do like how Ross describes this, because it has a lot going for it. Very good on price. It's a Japanese whiskey. So usually for something like this, you would expect a higher price tag. you'd be expecting them to be charging $200 a bottle.
$250 at least.
Yeah. So what $150, good price. Is balanced like a Japanese whiskey, but it does have the sort of standout notes like a Scottish whiskey. So it does hit a good middle ground.
Yep.
And yeah, I am sitting between a 9 and a 10 for this one. So
we need a number since he pinched the half. We can't have two halves in here. I want a number from you.
Well, if I can't go half, I don't feel I can go a 10. It's very close. It's very close to a 10, but I'll go 9 then.
Wow. So we're going to arrive at 9.5 as an overall.
It's a ripper drink.
It is a phenomenal drink, and thank you very much, Johnny and Satomi and Satomi's father for recommending and purchasing these products to bring back for us here on the pod. It's been amazing to partake in both of these whiskies tonight, and all of our whiskies, in fact. So,
not only that, I would like to know more about what other whiskies are doing in Japan, which other distilleries are doing a similar sort of drink, because I reckon they're onto something. If these guys are doing it, imagine what the other guys are doing who are recreating this, but...
With the peat and that, you mean?
Well, I just wonder if, how the Australian whiskey, distillery is just blowing up. How come? Is there only 10 or 12 distilleries in Japan, or is there 50 growing, like at the minute? Is there small-scale stuff?
Well, there'll be small stuff, but, there'll be quite a few that are sitting under a parent company like your Suntory or your Nikka.
Yeah, which is a lot different here in Australia. They're not sort of at that level yet and get sort of ownership.
There's still a fair bit of gin going around too in Japan too. So there's your starting point. So for that matter as well, there probably will be in the next 2-3 years. There'll be a few more whiskey distilleries popping up, I think too.
Well, I've seen a few more gins popping up out of Japan actually in the last year or so. So yeah, we'll probably see a few more whiskies in 6 years or so.
Yep,
or 5.
Yeah, definitely.
But where's this bottle, Johnny? I want to have a look at this bottle.
Yeah, let me get the bottle out. So nothing overly special, but it's a slightly broader bottle, I would say.
It's also like tinted, not a lot of them are tinted like that, are they? The colour wise is slightly tinted.
Yeah, very slightly.
Yeah.
The bottle's tinted, yeah, bottle and the colour.
Most of the Japanese bottles aren't tinted, but are they?
Well, not the Hibiki and not the the other one.
It looks like a traditional Japanese bottle, but too, isn't it? Like really, like not like it's. I don't know. Yeah, it's alright. It's it looks traditional. It looks like 100-year-old bottle. Looks similar to like Bakery Hill style bottle, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like when you look at the way that they're like minimal label on it and not really like massive in your face with like.
Yeah,
it's kind of a bit more restricted.
Yeah.
Yeah, not like your Shinobu one, which was very detailed in its design.
Yeah, I reckon that's a ripper bottle. Anyway, that's a ripper drink.
That is.
Yeah.
No, it's very good, Johnny. So
if I'd have seen that before I gave my score, I could have even gone higher now. So yeah, it's a bloody impressive bottle. I like that.
We'll show us the box though. The box looks very plain. Oh no, it's not.
No. I like the box.
I just saw the blue and I thought, shit.
They got the bottle in front of a flame.
Yeah, but that's a way sharper look. Like that's a more styled, like
more Rolls Roycey.
Yeah, more top sort of styled sort of finish. Even the blue on the side is like crisp and like a specific blue.
Yeah, not a shit blue. But I've never seen that. I've never seen that bottle anywhere in my travels.
No, surprisingly, I haven't really heard too much about it.
No,
out of places here.
Yeah,
and for a whiskey distillery that was sort of like one of the founders of Japanese whiskey, you would have thought it would be a lot more prominent.
Definitely.
You hear Yamazaki all the time, and you would think you would hear, this model, your Yuichi and...
Yep.
Who are the other Nikka guys?
Who?
The ownership by Nikka.
You sure? Okay.
Yeah.
Continue on.
Continuing, all right. Let's see what I can find if I bring them up.
While you're doing that, Johnny, Roscoe, have you got a saying for this evening? You do?
Yeah, I might have. Wait,
that's good. No,
what's going on with all your high-tech gizmo over there, mate?
No, she's fine.
You sure?
Yeah. I don't know what happened with the microphones.
I'm not sure your editing skills are...
You didn't eat it?
Up to scratch.
If you don't have it, don't stress.
Miyagi Ko.
Miyagi Co. Danielson.
Yeah. Distillery.
Okay.
So you see any whiskies coming out of them, give it a go.
Yep. Nice.
Is this still recording or not? All the colours on different on the screen now.
No, forget about that. Just look at that. That's all you need to look at, mate. All right. All right. So that pretty much wraps us up for a wonderful evening this evening with all the Japanese whiskies we've tried. And the winner for this evening is the...
Yuichi.
I am itchy. Yes, Yuichi. It is a fantastic drop. Go and try and get your hands on one if you can. But Rosco is about to just finish us off with a nice little saying for this evening. What is it?
Oh, no. Just relax for 1 second. I was going to say how bad your recording's been, but your editing skills have been a little bit better, haven't they?
Oh, what?
The podcast, the editing skills. How much time and effort's going into that, Macca?
Fucking too much.
Yeah, that's why you're not reading out the emails that are coming in.
What's the email that's coming in?
We've got a few emails.
Oh, here we go.
No, we've got no time to do it.
Oh, good.
Coming out at 12. Got to get home. Got the EPL on.
Yeah.
That's let's be honest. That's a ripper drink from Johnny as well tonight. That one's a winner. So yeah. Gee, and that's surprising that no one's ever heard of these distilleries either.
No,
you can't even get these bottles. I reckon I'm gonna have to get myself a bottle of that.
Yep.
I need to get bloody Lagavulin.
Which one?
16. You found it somewhere. How much was it, Johnny? $108 or something. $110 in Mitcham.
Before the price.
Yeah.
Do you reckon they'll have that Nicker as well?
Oh, probably.
Yeah, mate. Well, let's go down there. Let's get some fucking bottles.
Check with Nick's as well.
These guys.
Nick's Wine Merchants for Johnny's one.
Yes, all right.
Yeah, they're more likely going to have it. Surprised they haven't even recommended any Japanese whiskies to you yet.
No, I've only ever clicked Scottish.
Well, no, but when you went in there face to face, didn't you ask him? You said, "Oh, what?"
Ben from Nick's.
Oh, Benny.
Shout out to Ben. Yeah, he was all right.
Didn't you ask him what whiskies can you recommend?
Yeah, he recommended a couple, and we're going to try them soon.
You look a bit fucked out. I'm feeling fucked out.
Let's just wrap all this up and get the fuck out of here.
So,
I reckon we recorded being professional tonight. Heaps of whiskies. That's some good.
That's good quality one.
Good quality tonight without being too loose, which is good.
Yeah.
Daniela's coming at 12.
Yeah, so Roscoe's going to wrap us up.
No, I'm not.
Oh, bullshit. Just wrap us up with the final one. I'm going to send you off really good. Trust me.
I know what to say. We need to
just
talk
type in
about
motivational fucking funny speeches.
Hang on. All right.
Motivational.
I'll just read out something dumb then. Hang on. Let me read it. But let me read it
Okay.
so I know what the fuck I'm saying. I'm not ready to fucking say it.
Go for it.
Slider.
You stink.
You stink.
Right, got something for you.
Okay, so Roscoe's going to round us out here for this evening on the pod. And what's your little saying for this week, mate?
Always chase your losses. They can't run forever.
That is not good for a gambler.
Oh, fuck. Well, we've been having a crack. This is Big Mac, Roscoe, and Jono. Take it easy. Have a great night.
Drink responsibly.
And gamble responsibly.
Absolutely gamble responsibly.
Take it easy. This next song's for Roscoe, by the way.